Hi there and welcome to tonight's AFC playoff, a sudden death playoff in the Gridiron Series leading up to the Super Bowl that'll happen on January 23. I'm Darryl Eastlake, and tonight we have a really exciting match for you. The Miami Dolphins. Now, Miami made it to the final of the Super Bowl last year, and they are a hot side. Seattle Seahawks, they're the underdogs tonight. It'll be a very, very interesting clash. Tonight, giving his normal comments, a former player, our resident expert, Dan Milovich. How do you see it?
It's going to be close, Darryl. What you've got is Miami having the week off last week, but they are, as you say, the defending champions up against the Seattle Seahawks, a nobody team that came up, knocked off a couple of people, especially last week, Denver, who were their divisional champions.
What about some of the players to watch in both sides?
The players to watch, the quarterbacks, the easiest person to follow if you've just started looking at the game. The quarterback for Seattle, Dave Krieg, number 17. Instrumental last week in the win against Denver. And Dan Marino for the Miami Dolphins. Marino, a rookie quarterback, coming into his first season, having a very, very good, let's say, last 5 games of the regular season.
A tip?
I would go with Miami at this point in time. They're playing at home, that home field advantage.
Certainly are playing very well indeed. Tonight we'll be giving you the full match, not just highlighted packages as we have done in games 1 and 2, and that's because of the pressure put on by you, the viewers. So that's good stuff, and we'll be running the full matches right up to the Super Bowl. Right, let's cross now to the Orange Bowl Stadium. Your commentators Marv Albert and Bob Trumpy.
The Dolphins and the Seahawks in this AFC divisional playoff game. And we're underway. And this is Walker. 15-yard line. And again, good coverage by the Seahawks. Dan Dorning leading the assault. 17-yard return. Here's Dan Marino back in the starting lineup, still wearing a brace, returning after missing the 2 games with the knee injury. Tony Nathan, Dolphins' most consistent running back, alongside Andre Franklin. And for Andre, it's been an off season. Mark Super Duper headed to the Pro Bowl in his 2nd season. Nat Moore on the other side, and the tight end Dan Johnson. Miami 1st and 10, and the give to Franklin. Andre Franklin up near the 25. The nose tackle, number 72, Joe Nash. A 9-yard pickup as we check out the Dolphin front line, and they have been outstanding. There's the veteran Bob Kuchenberg, 36 years old. Dwight Stevenson, also headed to the Pro Bowl. Ed Newman at right guard, 11th year out of Duke. And Eric Laxo in a 6th season out of Tulane. It is a 2nd and 1. And the lone D-back is Tony Nathan. And Marino picking up the first down with Duper. Dave Brown on the stop as we check out the Seattle defensive alignment. Jacob Green comes in with 16 sacks and is tied for 3rd in the National Football League. The nose tackle, Joe Nash, 2nd year out of Boston College, and Jeff Bryant on the right side. He's chalked up 8 sacks. The linebackers, Bruce Schultz, he's the outside man on the left. Shelton Robinson, 2nd season out of North Carolina. Keith Butler on the inside, and Greg Gaines replacing the injured Michael Jackson. From the Miami 30-yard line. And Marino with good protection. Again, it's Cooper, and again a first down.
Mark, this game begins with the Miami Dolphins against the win, and Dan Marino with that knee injury been idle for 4 weeks. Some question as to how he has adjusted. Well, here's a clear indication. His favorite receiver, a young man with blazing speed, who leads the Dolphins in receptions this year, a 1,000-yard receiver in 1982, did not touch a football in the NFL. This year leads the team, goes to the Pro Bowl.
And Bob, this young man who became a starter against Buffalo back on October the 9th, the same game that Dan Marino emerged in the starting lineup. First down for Miami at their 43. Well, the cutback by Nathan. A short pickup. Robinson and Butler on the stop. A look at the Seattle secondary, and they have allowed 33 touchdowns this season. That could be the vulnerable spot as this game develops. Kerry Justin and Dave Brown on the corners. Kenny Easley and John Harris are the deep men.
Marv, a comment to this point. The Miami Dolphins going with the 1-back offense, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers.
are just underway. 3 minutes gone by. And Marino to put it up again. Nice catch. John Harris on the tackle as Nathan came out of the backfield, and a penalty flag down.
Marino with the ball up high, ready to throw it. The first time Nason shows his front, the ball is there. Watch the face mask by Harris. And there'll be yards tacked on, 5 yards. Inadvertent face mask.
Was face mask, number 44. It's a first down.
John Harris, as you heard the referee Fred Wyatt make the call.
Now that's not an automatic first down. It's 5 yards. It happened to make the first down. And how many times have you seen the Miami Dolphins in the opening drive of a ball game take it the length of the field, lead 7-0? They're on their way right now.
First down at the 44. Hunter Franklin with a penalty marker down. Combination of Jeff Bryant and Shelton Robinson on the tackle.
Or that'll be motion on Nat Moore. He had 2 guys going. Illegal motion, Miami. It's going to be interesting to see with a 2-week layoff by the Miami Dolphins what effect it might have.
Well, Don Shula over the years has had ball clubs that have been rarely penalized. In fact, Reggie McKenzie of Seattle claims that Shula intimidates the officials.
Number 85, first down.
Bob, do you buy that?
No, I do not. I think that's a comment from a player out of the AFC East for a number of years.
Yeah.
Buffalo. I'll give you my theory on Don Shula and why the Dolphins aren't penalized that much a little later.
All right, the ball at midfield. And this is Nathan. And coughed it up. Seattle indicating that they have recovered. Let's see what the call is.
They're going to count him down. That the ball popped loose with the contact with the turf mark. Miami retains possession. But one thing I can tell you, this Seattle team is a defense that is a turnover defense. They try to make the big hit. Jar the ball loose. Watch. His helmet hits the ground. He is determined as being down there. But we'll see the ball pop loose. He's down. I think it's a good call by the official, but it's hard to believe that in a split second they can make the right decision. Knox, of course, does not agree.
Woody Bennett now in the Miami backfield for the 2nd and 10. And Marino. Oh, God. Duper was able to play the deflection. A blue pass that was deflected, and Mark Duper was able to come up with it.
First of all, Greg Gaines from the outside to the right, you'll see him get pressure on Marino. That's why the ball is thrown up. Then it bounces off 57, Shelton Robinson. And when you have a season like Duper has had this year, the ball bounces your way. It's a completion, and you go on.
So that is catch number 3 on the afternoon for Mark Duper. Roy Foster listed as a right tackle, utilized frequently as a tight end, is in a tight end right now for this 3rd down and 1 at the 36. Hunter Franklin has the first down. Onotuya Sissoko on the cover-up. So the steady Dolphin drive continues.
Exactly what Chuck Knox did not want to happen. First possession, ball straight down the field. Let's watch that reception by Duper once again. Shelton Robinson certainly had a chance here. I think he was so surprised, but watch Duper. Just the 2nd year he's played football, 1 in college, and this complete season. But he just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and Robinson misses an opportunity, and Miami goes on.
First down, Seattle 33. Nathan picked up a yard. Tony Nathan, who led the NFL back in '81, averaging 5 yards per carry. Last year, injury hit. This season, averaged about 4 a carry, and 2nd leading rusher on the Miami Dolphin Ball Club.
Marv, you notice on the back of the Miami Dolphins helmet a number 50. in memory of Larry Gordon, their starting outside linebacker, who tragically died in training before he even came down to Miami this year. So this season dedicated to Larry Gordon.
9th play of the drive is upcoming. And Marino going behind Nat Moore.
Ball was tipped.
Nat Moore's made quite an adjustment from big play man to possession receiver, what with the emergence of Mark Duper.
Duper was a complete surprise to this football team. I mean, the stats he's amassed, 1,000 yards, he's done it about half the season. As you said, he and Marino seem to come on at the same time in the season, about the New Orleans game, and since then Miami has been unstoppable. Won 10 of their last 11, 5 in a row.
And it's a 3rd and 10 at the 33. Mark Clayton now in at wide receiver. And again it was deflected. Good hands by the Seahawks. This time number 77, the right end, Jeff Bryant, getting a piece of it.
Which is rather unusual. Seahawks had a blitz, and Bryant comes back in coverage. The ball will come right straight at us. There you see Bryant, defensive end, back in coverage. Just happened to have his helmet in the right spot. And he deflects the ball. It was intended for Joe Rose.
And here is the man the Dolphins call the world's biggest punter at a listed 243 pounds. But what a rookie season it has been for Reggie Roby. Paul Johns back at his 12-yard line as Roby angles.
Going to catch it.
Inside the 5.
Not a bad little play, right? Forget the bounce. I'll go down here and catch it.
Robert Sowell, who has been outstanding on special teams, making the grab of that 31-yard coffin goal.
Let's watch a comparison of the two punters for the Seattle Seahawks. Jeff West, when his ball makes contact, when his foot makes contact with the ball, watch his left foot off the ground. Now in Reggie Roby's case, rather interesting, watch his left foot. That is one limber individual for 6'3", 240.
And you can hear the reaction from the crowd here at the Orange Bowl. Seattle to the offense for the first time, and they go double tight end, starting out from their 4-yard line. It's Kurt Warner. Oh, nice move off the hole on the right to reach out to the 10-yard line. Miami holding onto the football for some 6.5 minutes. Dave Krieg, 6 up, 3 down since entering the starting lineup, and the running backs of Bryant alongside Warner. Paul Johns at one wide receiver spot. Steve Largent headed to the Pro Bowl, and the veteran tight end Charlie Young. So a look at the offensive big guns for Seattle. 2nd and 4 as Warner picked up 6. Bryant in front of Warner. And here's Warner following Bryant. Kurt Warner making the cut, stopped by Bob Brzezinski. Ron Essing at left tackle. Edwin Bailey replacing the injured and one-arm Richie McKenzie. Blair Bush at center. Robert Pratt, longtime starter for the Baltimore Colts. Steve August, the lone survivor of that extensive Tony Dorsett trade. 7.5 remaining in this first quarter with no score as we check out the measurement, and just shy of the first down are the Seahawks.
Marv, this Miami defense creates unique problems for every team that they play because of the positioning of A.J. Due, which we will try to follow throughout the football game. He's a gifted individual. He can play linebacker and defensive line. He lines up in about 11 different positions, and on each specific play for pass protection and even for some runs, everybody on the Seahawk offense must know how we're going to treat him this time. Is he a linebacker or a defensive lineman? 77.
Can there be too much concern with following him?
Yes, to a point.
All right, we'll be checking out number 77, A.J. Due. They go 3 tight ends, 3rd and inches. Warner has the first down. Kurt Warner, who rushed for 1,449 yards to lead the AFC, and this his rookie season.
All right, let's look at A.J. Due and one of his responsibilities as a defensive end. Kind of gets stood up, but he stands his ground. He did his job. But watch Kurt Warner. An outstanding running back. Watch his little jitterbug right there. Sets up a block, cuts inside. Tough runner, along with being a very elusive runner, Marv.
And it's been all Kurt Warner at the start. 3 carries, 14 yards, first down, Seattle at their 18-yard line. No score. We're midway through the first quarter. Now, Cullen Bryant. In his 11th season out of Colorado, had an excellent preseason, and that hurt by the arch problem. As we check out Miami's defensive unit, and Kim Bocamper on the other side. Outstanding linebackers. There's Dewey alongside of Roan. And on the right side, on the outside, is Charles Bowser. Second down and about 5. Seattle at its 23. And here's Warner. Out to the 25-yard line, so the short pickup. William Judson, who replaced the injured Don McNeil. Gerald Small, who has 5 interceptions on the season. And the Bruise brothers, Glenn and Lyle Blackwood. In fact, they say that the nickelback Mike Kozlowski is now an honorary member of the Bruise brothers.
You mean after those 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns against the Jets? Yes, I would think so.
Third down and 2. Across the 25, Largent in motion. And Craig putting it up for the first time and has the first down. Paul Johns off the spin to the 33.
Marvin, that's it. Seattle came in with some extra receivers. Miami went with 7 defensive backs. And still Seattle was able to get the ball to the receiver that they wanted. Shotgun, he's looking outside. Johns looks like the alternate receiver, but he makes himself big, turns around there. And, of course, for the defensive back to get to the football, it's got to be interference. Big play.
And it's a first down. Seattle at their 34. Seahawks have won 3 in a row. That's the longest streak in the 8-year history of the ball club. They come off the wild card victory over the Broncos. And a Miami hand able to get a piece of it. Looked to be Mike Charles. There he is, number 71, the huge rookie out of Syracuse. He of the levitation dance, a dance that Richard Todd did not appreciate some 2 weeks back.
Charles got, he even got Don Shula upset, asked him not to do it. He doesn't like opponents taunted. He'll come in there and rest Bocamper. They can't seem to get him under 280 pounds. He's got a little belly on him, and Shula doesn't like it, but he plays very well.
Second and 10. Seattle at 34-yard line. Kurt Warner out to the 36. So the short pickup.
Great move by Warner, though, to avoid a loss of yardage. He had 55. Ernie Roan in there free. Now, one of the things the Miami defense does with moving Dewey around, they try to create a little bit of confusion at the line of scrimmage, Marv, to put a split second of doubt in the offensive line's mind. Here we go. 2, 4, 6, 7 defensive backs.
And lining up against this third down and 7. That's Johns in motion. Oh, the quick pitch knocked down by Kim Bocamper.
Now you see what they've got. 7 guys in coverage, and you see Bocamper come out. Bocamper is lined up right here. He comes out in coverage too. So the confusion on the line of scrimmage by the Seattle Seahawks that was intended to Largent at the top of the screen. A little slant in. Bocamper draws a block, then drops back in coverage. That's Arnsparger. That's Arnsparger, the defensive coordinator. He drives you nuts.
And Bob, that was a Akeem Olajuwon rejection by Kim Bocamper. Mark Clayton back awaiting the Jeff West punt. Usually gets the good hang time. This is Clayton. 25. Great throw. The punter is back. Clayton taken down by the punter, Jeff West. But a penalty marker is down. It's a 40-yard return off a 45-yard punt by West, who made the tackle, but they're calling it back.
Whipped by Miami. That's unusual for the Miami Dolphins. When the ball is punted, all 7 officials on the field have one responsibility. They are looking for illegal block in the back or kick. They don't really have any other responsibility. They're going to catch a player every single time he does it.
And Fred Wyatt marking it off. We have 3:21 left in this first quarter. No score. Miami had the ball for 6.5 minutes. The Seattle drive was stopped. Here's the call.
Illegal block in the back. First down.
Miami taking over at their 20-yard line. A timeout has been called, so when we return, 3:21 remaining. First quarter, no score. So Miami to the offense. Andre Franklin stopped by Keith Butler. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy from the Orange Bowl in Miami. Temperature at 51 degrees. It is a very nippy, chilly day here in Miami, Florida. Andre Franklin is limping toward the sideline. It's been an off season for Andre. Banged up both shoulders on one play and has not been the same. Very slow to recover from that injury.
He really gets hammered here. Watch this. Keith Butler, 53, along with Jacob Green. And you see Green has his hand around his leg. Strained his knee a little bit.
Woody Bennett now replacing Andre Franklin. And again, it's Duper, a favorite target of Marino. Dave Brown, the right quarterback, on the stop.
Now, one thing Don Shula says about Mark Duper, he's just scratching the surface of his talent. Dave Brown in coverage gives him a wide cushion because of his blazing speed. And I have a feeling that Miami will continue to throw that pass until they can get Dave Brown and the other corners on the Seahawks up on the line of scrimmage.
8-yard advance, 3rd down and 2. 2.5 left in this first quarter. We have no score. Dan Marino back in action, still wearing a brace, returning after missing 2 games with that left knee injury. And here's Bennett. Woody Bennett running hard for the first down. Bennett in his 5th season out of the University of Miami. Began his career with the Jets. In fact, scored a go-ahead touchdown to help beat the Jets in the AFC title game here last season.
Power block, tight end and tackle on Jacob Green. He can't fight through it. Bennett right up there in the nice little alley created. Kuchenberg pulls in front. He kicks out on the linebacker. Bennett pulls up. That's Newman pulling, 64. There's a nice little alley there for Bennett. Big first down.
And it's a first down at the 34-yard line. And Moore in motion. And here's Tony Nathan. Keith Butler on the stop. Correction, David Overstreet.
Marv, we just heard that Tony Nathan went into the locker room for x-rays on his rib. They certainly need Tony Nathan. Overstreet been much maligned. There's Tony Nathan going in. He's their second leading receiver and all-purpose back. Overstreet's had problems with fumbling the ball over the last 2 regular season games. He had a good day rushing against the Atlanta Falcons and an excellent day rushing against the New York Jets. Interesting thing about Miami, they have not had a running back over 100 yards in 1983.
As you see, the first down has been picked up. Don Shula was down on David Overstreet following preseason, and this is a guy who had fumble difficulties while playing in the Canadian Football League. But as you say, the last 2 games has come on.
Offensive huddle over there on the Seahawks sideline.
First down at the 44. Woody Bennett now, the lone deep back. And this is Bennett. Again, the extra effort by Bennett, but Greg Gaines, the outside linebacker on the right, able to make the stop. Gaines replacing the injured Michael Jackson, who's had a real rough injury season. Andre Franklin, who took a hit 2 plays back.
Ankle being retaped. Tell you, Nathan being out, that has a real effect on Miami because he's their multi-purpose back. Now Overstreet's got to fill that role, and not only does he fumble, he's had trouble catching the ball.
And that is Overstreet in the backfield. Overstreet on the handoff. Big hole. And Overstreet able to take advantage. Ken Easley on the tackle.
Well, that's one way to get out of Don Shula's doghouse. When the team needs you and you respond, you'll get the respect of your teammates. 7 yards on the carry. Sweep left. Kuchenberg, 67 up front. Outstanding blocker. And Kenny Easley there to make the assist. Their best defensive player and one of the game's great hitters.
So David Overstreet has carried twice for 17 yards. Time running down, first quarter, and that is the end of quarter number 1 here at the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Dolphins and the Seahawks are scoreless. Very cool, crisp day here in Miami, Florida. It did rain throughout the night, throughout the early morning hours. The tarp was down yesterday. In fact, even Don Shula was concerned about the field condition. As you see, Miami had the football most of this first quarter. And Marino again hooking up with Duper. And a Miami first down. Dave Brown on the coverage. And number 22. The field looks to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, this is prescription athletic turf, and it's supposed to trade. We'll watch Dan Marino. The only guy he's thrown the ball to is Duper, and until those cornerbacks get up there on the line of scrimmage and try to take something away from this guy with his great speed, Miami can continue to do this. Now, 22 Brown comes out underneath. He's close, but they can't give him that much of a cushion, Marv.
And it's a first down at the 33-yard line. Mark Duper off to the fast start. Word on for Franklin, twisted ankle, but he'll be back. David Overstreet running well to the 25. Jacob Green and Bruce Schultz on the stop.
There is real pressure on this Seattle defense, Marv. Jacob Green, their leading sacker, and one of their kingpins of the defense, is they've got to do a better job at the line of scrimmage. You allow Overstreet or Bennett a little area through that defensive line, and they'll run all over you all day long. This is exactly what Shula wants. Throw it sparingly, run the ball a lot.
And Woody Bennett has come on for the second down and 2. Here's Bennett.
Excellent.
Stop. Jeff Bryant closed it up.
Good penetration underneath the offensive guard. Bryant there to make the tackle. When a running back can't even get back to the line of scrimmage to really get ahead of steam up, the defense is doing its job. That was a good job by the Seattle defense. So far, they've allowed them a lot of yards between the 20s, Marv, but shut them down when they get down by the 20.
And it remains third down and about 2. Extra tight end Roy Foster has come on. Andre Franklin is back. Franklin and Overstreet now in the backfield. Here's Franklin. First down to the 20. Keith Butler on the stop. And a good block by the right guard, Ed Newman, to open up matters for Franklin.
This is a very talented offensive line with Stevenson, Newman, Kuchenberg. Those three guys in the middle, very similar to the yesteryear with Kuchenberg, Langer at center, and Larry Little at right guard. Those three guys are like triplets.
Dolphins with Giesler and Laxo at the tackles, Kuchenberg and Newman at the guards, and Stevenson at center. 2 minutes gone by, second quarter, no score. Off a delay and a reverse. This is Clayton looking to throw for Duper. John Harris, the free safety, covering Mark Duper.
Harris not fooled. To his credit, he was right back there where he's supposed to be, and that's one of the signs of a Chuck Knox defense. Tom Catlin, the defensive coordinator, this is a very disciplined defense by the Seattle Seahawks. They don't have any real superstars, but they carry out their assignments. And I think Catlin and Knox feel that if they play together, they play better than trying to be an individual superstar.
And Mark Clayton, the rookie out of Louisville, did complete a pass early in the season for a touchdown. So Don Shula going to the gadget book. More conventional style. Johnson. Touchdown. Dan Johnson. Touchdown pass play. Johnson in his second season out of Iowa State on the hookup with Dan Marino.
Favre watched the block by 89 Nat Moore at the end of this play. Johnson out in the flat by himself to the right of the screen. Bam. Just gets in his way. Johnson waltzes in.
And here is Uwe von Schaman. Don Strock puts it down. Wow.
He couldn't get it up on a point.
And so the Dolphins held to a 6-0 lead. I will be back in just a moment. Early second quarter, Miami on the board.
That failed extra point attempt again, and you can see Strock has trouble with it, standing on the sideline in this blustery wind. Sure, his hand got cold. I think von Schaman just didn't have the confidence in Strock that he was going to get the ball down on the ground.
And the wind blowing the ball off the tee, so von Schaman, who's had an inconsistent season, teeing it up at the fourth extra point. Missed this season. He's 45 for 49, and in terms of field goals, missed 6 of 7 at one stretch, then hit 9 of 10, so he's been up and down. All right, the kickoff, Miami in front by the score, up 6-0. Zachary Dixon out to the 20 with acceleration. 40, broke a tackle, midfield, inside the 40. Robert Sowell on the stop. Zachary Dixon was a blur.
No flags. The return stands. Rusty Tillman is the Seahawks special teams coach. Played in the NFL a number of years with the Washington Redskins. And the reason their special teams are so good is that they spend a lot of time on them. They're 1/3 of this football team. 59 yards on the return. And that'll get you well in a hurry.
Zach Dixon in his 5th season out of Temple, averaging 23 yards per kickoff return, sets up Seattle at the Miami 38-yard line. And here's Kurt Warner with a big hole inside the 30 for a first down. Ernie Rowe, inside linebacker, on the tackle.
Well, we can now answer the question, does Seattle have any jitters about being in the playoffs? Absolutely none. Are they in awe of the Miami Dolphins? So far, shown very little respect for them.
11-yard pickup. Miami has had the ball most of the way. Unofficially, we have 13 minutes of possession for the Dolphins. Seahawks just a shade over 3. First down at the Miami 27. And again, Warner to the outside.
Oh.
Beautiful head fake. Little shake and bake by Kurt Warner.
And it's amazing how he can keep going upfield, and hips, shoulders, and everything else is moving sideways, and Kurt Warner is able to get up the field. Now watch the way this offense comes up. One of the keys is Cullen Bryant. Watch these guys pull out like this. All they try to do is make a little space for Kurt Warner, hold a block for a second. See that guard pull? All they need to hold it for a second, and that move, and he's upfield.
Picked up 8, 2nd and 2 at the 19. And the first down picked up by Cullen Bryant. Cullen Bryant played for Judd Knotts in Los Angeles, signed with Seattle as a free agent during the offseason.
Gentleman just to the right of the screen there, Chick Harris, running back coach for the Seattle Seahawks. He's the wigwagger. Sends the signals in to Dave Craig.
And a first down Picked up by Seattle. They have done it primarily on the ground.
Miami, 4 defensive linemen.
First down at the 13. And here's Warner. And that time, the swarming Killer Bees defense all over Kurt Warner, led by the nose tackle, Bob Baumhauer.
This will look like a real football game. When this one's over, they'll be muddy, soiled, sweaty, yes, blood-stained.
So Warner picked up a yard. It'll be a second down and 9. Kurt Warner has terrific field vision.
Yes, he does. You're right. Good sense of where he goes, and he's able in 2 steps to build up a pretty good head of steam going towards the line of scrimmage.
5.5 gone by. Second quarter. Craig able to pick up, let's see, just outside the 6-yard line. Cullen Bryant on the reception.
The 6-yard line.
So upcoming a third down and about 3.
Got a big one now.
So far, Miami not able to get to Dave Craig, but he hasn't thrown the ball very much. I'll make this point. William Andrews of the Falcons, Marcus Allen of the Raiders, Wayne Wilson of the Saints, Eric Dickerson of the Rams, and Earl Campbell of the Oilers have all had 100-yard rushing days against this Miami defense. So Seattle feels they can run it.
That has been the lone rep against the Miami defense. Crowd urging the Dolphins on. Cullen Bryant, touchdown. And that quiets the crowd here at the Orange Bowl. Bryant doing it against the free safety, Lyle Blackwood.
In this stadium, playing at that end zone is very difficult, coming out and going in because of the noise there. This is a great job by Seattle. Just a little flare pass to Cullen Bryant. Someone missed the coverage out there. That's too easy.
And Norm Johnson will attempt the extra point. Jim Zorn, at one time the starting quarterback for the Seahawks, will put it down, looking to break the tie. And he does. The Seahawks have taken a 7-6 lead on the Dolphins with 9 minutes, 19 seconds remaining in this first half. Well, it was Zachary Dixon that began the drive with this gorgeous 59-yard kickoff return.
Well, one of the things that you look for in a big game like this is how your special teams play.
Cullen Bryant capped it off with a 6-yard touchdown pass. Dave Craig hitting 3 of 5 to open things up. Seahawks lead by 1, 7-6. And the line drive kickoff is fielded. Fulton Walker, 20. And Submarine at the 25-yard line. Walker, in his 3rd season out of West Virginia, by 1st and 10 from the Miami 26-yard line. Seahawks 7, Dolphins 6. We are early, second quarter. David Overstreet broke a tackle. And Overstreet is off to an impressive start. He's a rookie in the National Football League. Jacob Green on the stop. Overstreet was a #1 pick of the Dolphins back in 1981. Then signed with Montreal in the Canadian Football League. Had some impressive statistics, but was dropped after fumble problems. Joe Rose, the backup tight end on the sideline.
I've been in that situation. You get your neck stung trying to make a tackle. Your arms go numb.
It's called a pinch nerve. He'll be back. 2nd and 1. And the first down picked up by Andre Franklin. Shelton Robinson on the tackle. 8:25 remaining in this first half.
You see what they're doing there? That's the newest innovation in jerseys. They lace that thing up under the player's arms and pull it tight so the defensive linemen have nothing to grab. That's one of their secrets. Grab the guy underneath his arm and then pull themselves by. Now they have jerseys with laces along with shoes with laces.
All right, Franklin and Overstreet in the backfield. And here's Overstreet again.
Ball is on the ground.
They blew it dead.
Tackled by number 57,
David Overstreet has become a very important man, what with the earlier injuries suffered by Tony Nathan.
Short trap up the middle, center, both guards very active there. Nathan carrying the ball very well, but whoa, that's close. That's very close. He is ruled down, but on replay that looked like it kind of got away from him a little bit.
Overstreet has carried 5 times for 40 yards, so he's averaging 8 per pop, 2nd and 4 at the 46. And Marino complete again. He's been right on target with Mark Cooper. Terry Justin, the left quarterback, on the cover. 16-yard pass play.
First down.
Watch once again as Overstreet goes through here. Is there any point of him down? Well, we can't really see his knee on the backside behind the player. Nevertheless, it was ruled that Miami retains possession. And again, the cushion that the defensive backs of Seattle are giving Duper is entirely too much. Now they're being set up for coming up to the line of scrimmage, and Duper going by him.
And 6 catches on the day for Duper. First down, 37-yard line. On for Franklin. Dolphins running well and mixing it up very effectively.
You're right.
Jacob Green on the cover-up of Franklin. Picked up 4. It's a 2nd down and 6:15 left first half. And the Seahawks lead it by the score of 7-6.
Ron Essick on the sideline stretching out his calf. Maybe a cramp. Hard to imagine on a day like this.
Good start for Marino, who has not played in 4 weeks. So one with the layoff and the knee injury. Here's Overstreet. Had difficulty getting outside. Strung out very well by the Seahawks. Keith Butler.
That 34 defense that you see in the NFL nowadays is very good at trying to catch up with sweeps. The whole idea is the backside linebacker, there's nobody really to block him, and therefore he should be there to make the tackle. As you watch Von Schaman practice on the sideline, now it appears that Seattle is expecting to pass. Let's count some defensive backs. That's 2, 3, that's 5, 7 defensive backs, Marv.
And the Dolphins double tight end Joe Rose joining Dan Johnson out of the shotgun. Marino throwing for Duper. Oh! An extraordinary catch by Mark Duper.
With 7 defensive backs, Dave Brown single coverage. This is 4-3 speed, and Brown can't cover him any better. What a catch. Great concentration on the football. That's his 11th touchdown reception this year. Last year he didn't catch a pass.
32-yard pass play, and let's see how Von Schaman and Strock fare this time. 5 minutes, 43 seconds remaining in this first half as we take another look. And Marino hooking up with Mark Duper. Marino now 9 for 11, 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
As you watch this play, at that point you can see there's no way Duper can catch the football. That's extremely good coverage by Dave Brown, and somehow Marino and Duper hook up again.
And that's 7 catches, and we still have 5:43 remaining in this first half. 7 receptions for Duper. All right, they'll do it again. The playoff record for receptions, Kellen Winslow with 13 against the Dolphins in that sensational overtime victory back in 1981. So Winslow with 13 now being chased by Duper, and that is number 7 on the day for Mark Super Duper.
I'll watch that play several times again. That's extraordinary. And isn't it odd that at times in the NFL, you have a quarterback and a receiver that the quarterback throws it up and the receiver always seems to be able to get to it. It used to be Zorn and Largent, now Craig and Largent for Seattle, and the combination of Marino and Duper has just been extraordinary. It's almost magical at times.
5:38 remaining first half. The Dolphins now lead the Seahawks 13-7. Marv Albert, Bob Trumpy from the Orange Bowl in Miami. William Judson is holding it for Von Schaman. Short kick. Zachary Dixon. Another good return by Dixon out near the 35-yard line. A 28-yard return. Dixon in the previous kickoff went 59 yards to set up a Seattle score. That first half, Seattle first down at their 34-yard line. Kurt Warner taking advantage of the hole up the middle out near the 40.
I noticed that the Miami Dolphins, because of the success of the Seahawks running the ball, have gone to a four-man front. Now they have that. You see 73, Baumhauer in the middle. Good double team by Bailey and Bush. And look at Warner. Boy, he is a nifty kid. He is third player taken in the draft last year. Elway, Dickerson, and then Kurt Warner. He's going to be there for the next 12 years, gaining 1,000 yards.
And off the 2nd and 4, Warner changing direction to pick up the first down by Brzezinski on the stop. It has been drizzling. On the drizzly side is what I'm trying to say. Drizzling. Off and on throughout the day. Field seems to be in good condition. 1st and 10, midfield, and Warner out of the backfield. And Kurt Warner stopped by Ernie Rohn right near the first down marker.
Excellent call by the sideline of the Seattle Seahawks. Miami comes with a four-man front, two linebackers, and number 61, Robert Pratt, a little outlet out to the sideline. That's a good pick. There's Chick Harris, running back coach, who sends everything but smoke signals into Dave Craig to get the play underway.
And Craig is now 4 for 6, 30 yards. Last week, 12 for 13, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the conservative style of Chuck Knox went with the big weapon and Kurt Warner. First down at the 42. 3:20 left in this first half. Here's Warner following Bryant.
Warner carries, tackle, knocked out of bounds.
Running it out, followed by the left cornerback, William Judson.
Well, I'll make this observation and then we'll try to keep track of it. It appears to me that the Seahawks are putting Steve Largent, their great receiver, to the weak side, running to the strong side, expecting Miami to rotate their zone to Largent. And what they're doing is, now you see the guys coming up here on him? They're running away from him. I think Miami is skewing their defense too Largent on the pass, and therefore the other side is open to the run.
And to this point, Craig has not gone to Largent. Second down and 5. Miami leading by the score of 13-7. Cullen Bryant. So from time to time we get a different look. Bryant stopped by Charles Bowser. And we're just under 3 remaining in this first half. It'll set up a 3rd down and 2. Seahawks making it to the playoffs for the first time in their 8-year history. Finished the regular season at 9-7. Clinching the wild card on the final day of the season at home by beating New England. Last week they beat Denver to make it 3 straight wins. 4 of their last 5. And this is a club that played through a very difficult schedule. Looked like Warner stumbled, and he's close to the first down marker. Seattle players think he's picked it up, but we'll see a measurement. That time looked like he lost his footing.
Yes. It's a little wet out there. You see he's trying, maybe one too many moves. His own weight kind of made him fall off balance. I'll tell you this, This has got to be a great lift for Seattle. Miami in the '83 season allowed their opponents to convert just 38% of their third downs to first downs, and they are extremely difficult to run against in that situation. But Seattle has had done an excellent job in his first half of converting those third downs to first downs.
All right, 84, Sam Clancy. Basketball fans may be aware of his play at the University of Pittsburgh. And as you see, short.
2:22 left. What do? You go for it? Ground chuck? I go for it. They got nothing to lose. First time in the playoffs. Confidence in the offense. That's the type of coach that Chuck Knox is. Give it a shot. They're going.
Well, it's a 4th and 1 coming up for Seattle. Norm Johnson, though, limbering up, getting set. And as you can see, he's been effective from long range.
Very good, but I think this is Seattle's first trip to the playoffs. Let's let it all hang out. Now, I offer you this. Do you go to the line of scrimmage and try to draw Miami offsides, or do you just run the ball as a normal play?
All right, we'll see. 7th play of the drive is upcoming. Kurt Warner. And he's picked up the first down.
Lyle Blackwood on the tackle, and Chuck Knox has great confidence in this offense, and that young man in particular. To give him the ball against a veteran, experienced defense, a defense that played in the Super Bowl last year, and to run him on a sweep, I mean, that does nothing but elevate the feeling of the players on the field. Chuck's got confidence in us. 4th and 1. We got to get it for him. Watch this hit by Blackwood. Yes, sir. He stopped him, but not before he picked up the first down.
Clock running down to a minute 20 left. In the half. Largent in motion. Great on play action. Giving it away quickly. Paul Johns. Incomplete. Paul Johns, the 3rd-year man out of Tulsa, the intended receiver.
So far, they haven't even thrown one close to Steve Largent. Watch how close this is to being a catch in bounds. Good coverage. Johns gets up a little bit, juggles it. Excellent job by Miami. Judson was right where he's supposed to be.
William Judson replacing the injured Don McNeil, and came on very strong up and down early in the season, then picked off 3 1/4 against the Jets, and that turned his season around. 2nd and 10 from the 31. Gray going the other side for Largent.
First time they have thrown in his direction. And one thing Miami does, they can take away a receiver now. You'll see short and deep coverage. There's small, then the safety. And Largent has caught a pass in 91 straight games in the regular season. The NFL's longest streak, and he is their best receiver, their most gifted, the one they rely on the most.
And folks in Seattle very upset that Steve Largent didn't make it to the Pro Bowl for a 4th time. In fact, they question the selection of Mark Dupert and of Wes Chandler. 10th play of the drive coming up. A minute left in the half. Johns in motion. And Craig going for Largent.
Once again, that short, deep coverage on Largent. Craig mad at himself. He wanted that ball in there. Watch again. Small at the line of scrimmage, just trying to disrupt the pattern. Then the trickiness. And that was close. Ball thrown about 5 yards shorter. Largent might have had it.
Same play attempted.
Same coverage by Miami.
And Craig upset with himself. 54 seconds left. And here's Noam Johnson attempting from 49 yards away.
Against the wind.
Zorn will hold. Oh, it's blocked. And Zorn picks it up. Intended for Dan Dorning. Johnson, the left quarterback, with the block of the field goal attempt by Norm Johnson.
This franchise used to have a lot of trick plays on field goal attempts. Good thinking by Zorn, just couldn't quite get it to Dornick. Miami takes over. Kicker Norm Johnson, special teams coach Rusty Tillman with that blocked field goal. Rusty's a former linebacker, and linebackers are intense even when they retire.
Rusty, not a happy former linebacker.
Been known to tape up before games even after retirement.
Miami leading Seattle 13-7 off that blocked field goal. Norm Johnson stopped by William Johnson. We have 48 seconds remaining in the half. Miami first down at their 31. They lead it 13-7. Marino on the swing. Intended for David Overstreet.
Slightly overthrown. Seattle faking the blitz and backing out. 79 Jacob Green right there in the face of Dan Marino. Couldn't really get it to the receiver Overstreet.
Bob, incredibly, at one point it appeared that Marino would last until the second round of the draft, picked up after John Elway, Todd Blackledge, Jim Kelly, Tony Eason, and Ken O'Brien. 5 quarterbacks in all selected in front of him. Several reps on Marino, and it turns out he's had a sensational rookie season. Tony Nathan making his return, stopped by Ken Easley. Nathan went out in the first quarter. In this first half, a tale of 2 wide receivers. Steve Largent on the right with a goose egg to this point. Mark Duper, 7 receptions on the day.
Miami able to take away Largent. Seattle not even close to stopping Duper.
And the Dolphins, 3rd and 1 at their 40. They lead it 13-7, 34 seconds left. Here's Nathan again. Stopped by Mano Tuiasosopo.
Nathan back. His ribs apparently taped and better.
Hurry up offense down to 20 seconds. Marino with time. The tight end Joe Rose for the first down. Miami with 2 timeouts left and stopped the clock. 11 seconds remaining in this first half. Miami first down at the 43 in Seattle territory.
Okay, let's look at the defensive backs here now for the Seahawks. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defensive backs in here. 3 men rushing with just 11 seconds left.
And that's the full complement on the Seattle roster. We have Justin, Simpson, Easley, Moyer, Harris, Dufek, Brown, and Johnson.
This is the time for that hook and lateral, you remember, that they ran against San Diego a couple of years ago?
All right, Marino, who is 10 for 13, firing, and it's picked off. Let's see. Yes, the intercept. John Harris, the free safety, with the first turnover of the half.
Well, I tell you, you can't really fault the young man with 8 defensive backs back there. You got 2 guys just playing center field. He throws it, and I think the minute he throws it, he realizes, oh, no, there's one of those guys that's not supposed to be there. It's tough to read 8 defensive backs and where they're all going to be and what they're all going to do. Watch, top of the screen, John Harris. Good hands, excellent recovery, intended for Clayton, 83. First turnover of the half.
And Miami quarterbacks have thrown the fewest interceptions in the AFC this season. 11 in all as time runs out. Good first half at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Miami Dolphins in front of the Seattle Seahawks by the score of 13-7.
First half game of football, surely the best we've seen in the series so far. Miami ahead 13-7. By G, the other side coming back. We'll have a look at the highlights now out of this first half.
Okay, now here you've got Marino, the rookie quarterback. His big ability to read the defense. He drops back. He's looking to his right. He finds the tight end open under the zone. And Johnson goes in for the score at the corner. A very, very good play. Okay, the conversion. Strzok doesn't get the ball down. No good, no point, and look at the pylon. Let's meet back at the kicker. They didn't pay him to do that, no doubt. Now, that could be a very, very important missed point. Again, that's worth 1. Let's take a look at it again. Strzok there, confused. It's an automatic play. The kicker came through. The ball wasn't in place like Charlie Brown, and he pays the price. Here we go, Krieg. He's dropping back. Again, he's also reading. He picks up the delay back. Cullen Bryan, 32, didn't go right away. He goes out late, finds the hole. He's in for the score. Tie ball game, 6-6. Very important point. The ball's down. It's up. It's good. 7-6. Excellent call there. Again, now Marino. He's back reading. He's looking long. Throws way deep to Super Duper, his wide receiver, in traffic. Comes down in the corner. An excellent throw. A superb catch. Now this again important. Strzok this time gets it down. You've got a halftime score, 13-7. And now the important interception. Miami driving, underthrows the ball, easy's in there. It's out. Good catch.
Right, well, if you've been sticking with us right throughout the series, what we've been endeavouring to do is to explain some of the gridiron terms to you, so it makes it a lot easier to follow the game. Dan, let's have a look at some of the most important ones, the basic ones.
I think the basic one, again, is remembering when they have first down and 10 yards to go, second and 10, those are tackle counts. They're telling you the number, the tackle that's taken place, and the necessary yardage to go 10 yards. You go 10 yards, you keep possession of the ball. That team then just drives down the field so long as they keep picking it up one after another.
What does the term mean, a sack?
A sack is where the defensive team gets to the quarterback while he's dropping back to throw the ball and tackles him. Very simple. The defense just meets at the quarterback.
Another one we've heard a lot of in this particular game is zone defense.
Okay. Rather than playing a man-on-man, like I'm number 42, watching you number 17, I play an area. What you have is the linebackers, the defensive backs, dropping back 5 or 10 yards and covering an area, not a man.
Point scoring?
You have a touchdown worth 6, the extra point, which was missed by Miami, for 1 point, a field goal that can be taken at any time, 3 points, and a safety where the quarterback or an offensive player is caught in his own end zone is worth 2.
One term that really had me a little rattled today is special teams. What do they mean by special teams?
Okay, you've got an offensive team and a defensive team, but you also have the specialty teams, which are your kickoff teams, your punt teams, your return teams. They are usually the hardest tackling ball players, let's say the ones who've got the most gusto, and accordingly they're usually called the headhunters, the suicide squad, a very, very important team to have.
Comments from Dan Milovich. Right, let's go back and have a look at the action now at the Orange Bowl. Great game, Miami Dolphins and the Seattle Seahawks.
Back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, look at the first half statistics and look at the differential in the yards passing.
Their biggest play was that kickoff return, and they need more than that. 74 yards rushing in the first half is almost totally Kurt Warner. He's done his job, but the key in this second half is figure out a way to get the ball to Steve Largent. This Seahawks team over the years has relied very heavily on Steve Largent. He's a big play guy, and they now need some big plays.
And Marino throwing 2 touchdowns, one to the tight end, Dan Johnson, and the other to Mark Duper, one of his 7 receptions in the first half.
Zachary Dixon, number 46, David Hughes.
Zachary Dixon, David Hughes awaiting the kickoff from Uwe von Schaman.
Interesting here that Miami has its choice in the second half. Excuse me, Seattle has its choice, and yet Miami kicks into the wind, so they'll have the wind at their back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this Zach Dixon, a look from the end zone view. That happened earlier.
You see that little area in the middle of the field there that looks different colored at halftime. Between the hash marks, they came out with a kind of a midget steamroller, and this prescription athletic turf, there you can see the edge where the steamroller went, just to the far side of Uwe von Schaman. A little rough footing, so they tried to settle it down a little bit.
There is no truth to the report that among those checking the field last night and early this morning was one-time Jet coach Walt Michaels, who had a little problem in that area last season. David Hughes out to the 10, 20, and reaching out to the 25-yard line. A 20-yard return by Hughes.
Well, Miami accomplished one thing. They kept the ball out of the hands of Zach Dixon. Let's watch Vince Heflin, 88. He's one of Miami's headhunters. You got to give your body and mind to the football team in this situation. Really stick it in there. Good tackle.
Seahawks, first down at their 25-yard line. In the backfield, Kurt Warner, Cullen Bryant. Quarterback is Dave Craig. Steve Largent to the right. And Craig throwing, first down. Warner, stutter steps out to the 35-yard line. Nice block by the left guard, Edwin Bailey, who's replaced the injured Reggie McKenzie.
Now that's really pressure on the defense. You got Largent running an in on that side, and Warner coming out of the backfield right behind him with the guard as an escort. That's extreme pressure on the defense. We'll watch Largent. Once again, shut out in the first half. See the linebacker drop to the left-hand side of the screen right in front of him. And he's willing to make a block for his teammate.
And it's a second down and 1. We're just underway, third quarter. Acceleration by Warner. And we'll have to wait and see where they spot the ball. He picked it up.
Watch 75, Doug Betters. Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. All gentlemen. Understand today is Doug Betters' day where?
In Whitefish, Montana, the hometown of Doug Betters. Got a telephone call at the hotel yesterday to certify that fact. Doug Betters, who has had a splendid season. First down at the 36-yard line. Play action. And Paul Johns had to come back for the football. Good catch for the first down.
Very good choice by Craig. You throw the ball out there in the flat if there's coverage anywhere close. Get it down into the ground so there's no interception. And this is an excellent catch by Johns. Good concentration, and that's the backside of that zone that's being rotated to Steve Largent.
Paul Johns is part of the Tulsa connection. Steve Largent in his 8th season out of Tulsa. Johns, as you saw, in his 3rd year. First down, Seattle, 46-yard line. And here's Warner. Spinning and sliding and stepping and working his way for yardage. Mike Charles on the stop, number 71 for Miami.
One of the great things about this Miami defense is their ability to pursue. That's August 76 on Betters 75, and the cutback by Warner, which is really what he does best, is set the defense up and then cut back against the grain. And they hold him to about a 3-yard gain, which is a plus for Miami's defense.
3 minutes in, third quarter. Dolphins 13, Seahawks 7. Cullen Bryant. A short pickup.
Tackled by Bob Baumhauer, number 50.
Seattle Seahawks, a team that played through a very tough schedule, a club that beat the Los Angeles Raiders twice, including a 38-36 shootout in Seattle. They also won a 5th lookout. A.J. Dewey hurt on the play, and they'll check him out. Seattle also won a 51-48 overtime game against Kansas City, so they have been lighting up the scoreboard.
And Marv, you know, over the last 2.5 games, they haven't had a turnover. And you see in that massive humidity, number 77, he's on the bottom. That's the wrong place to be. 59 Blair Bush on top of him. Looks like he got his ankle twisted a little bit. They need him.
So A.J. to the sideline. 3rd and about 2.
Baumhauer, that nose tackle, highly unusual that you get a nose tackle who stays in on the pass rush. Normally they take those guys out, but you can see the game. 75 inside, Betters. Baumhauer to the outside, untouched. And Miami's first sack of the day.
Bob Baumhauer, four-time Pro Bowler, concluded the regular season 2 weeks back with 3 sacks against the Jets. Here's Jeff West, back at his 30. He's had a very consistent season, bouncing back from a year ago. Took a high snap and really hangs it up. Mark Clayton, 15. Broke a tackle. That's the punter, West, again, who had to come up to make the stop. A 45-yard punt and a 24-yard return by the rookie from Louisville, Mark Clayton.
You can see that being set up. Once he gets to this picket line over here, he's got teammates. He gets by one guy, and then a good job by the Miami Dolphins to make legal blocks and allow the return to stand. Sometimes it's not fun to be a punter in the NFL. West making his second tackle of the day, and of course on all punt teams he is the safety net punter. Most punters just kind of get in their way and hope somebody else makes the contact. West big enough, athletic enough to make the tackle.
And a good return by Clayton, the man to replace the injured Tommy Vigorito. Dolphins now first down at their 34. They lead the Seahawks 13-7. Marino off the fake. Goes sideline again for, yes, Mark Duper. That is his 8th catch of the day. Picked up 15, bumped out by Dave Brown.
Nice little finish to that pass pattern. Right to the bench and sit down. A.J. Dewey underneath that Dolphins slicker. Try to find out what's wrong with him. Duper now 8 catches, 110 yards, and still that big cushion by the Seahawk defensive backs.
A.J. talking it over. 4.5 gone by in this third quarter. Uriel Harris has replaced Mark Duper. Overstreet coughs it up. David Overstreet.
Recovered by Seattle.
John Harris on the recovery.
Trap up the middle. You can see Overstreet just gets it stripped right out of his arm by 56 gains. Ball on the ground. Harris picks it up. Miami's first turnover of the ball game. 1 each now for the Seahawks and the Dolphins. Overstreet on the trap from the right-hand side. 56 gains. Gets his hand right on the ball. And let me correct myself. That's 1 each. A turnover for Miami by interception and fumble. None for Seattle.
And David Overstreet, who had the fumble problem in the Canadian Football League, and then earlier this season, after running so well, coughing it up at Seattle. Now first down at their 45-yard line. David Hughes carrying for the first time and nearly broke. Hughes with the first down. He's a 3-year man out of Boise State, and on the subject of fumbles, started the year in the lineup alongside Kurt Warner, but he has had fumble problems.
Miami came with a 4-man front, and a great job by Bailey, 65 on Bowser. And Hughes with a good quick opener up the middle, and a first down for the Seahawks.
And bad news for the Dolphins on A.J. Dewey. Sprained left knee and out the rest of the game. Here's Craig firing in the middle and broken up. Intended for Steve Largent.
49 Small on the outside, and one of the Bruce brothers on the inside. This Miami Dolphin defensive backfield, their 2 safeties, the Blackwood brothers, are great hitters. They feel no pain, and they make people pay. Now, this took too long to develop. You see that little hitch? That set up the weak safety to be right there. And if he'd have caught that one, we nicknamed him Houdini.
Yes, the Bruce brothers secondary, a subdivision of the Killer Bees, are doing the job. Kurt Warner. Dolphins handled that very well. Mike Kozlowski, 4-year man out of Colorado, on the tackle.
3rd and 8.
So a 3rd down and 8 upcoming. Dan Dorning now replacing Cullen Bryant, and Dorning will be the lone deep back.
There's Bill Arnsparger on the sideline. Let's see what they come up with here. I see 2, 4, 5, 7 defensive backs. Now for the Miami Dolphins. And 10 men on the line of scrimmage.
4 receivers for the Seahawks. Craig lofting one. Paul Johns on the long gainer. 27-yard pass play. Johns tackled by Paul Langford.
That's the chance you take from the shotgun. Just a 4-man rush. Seattle picks it up very well. And this is extremely well thrown by Craig, a young man with not a great deal of NFL experience, allowing Johns to run under the football. The receiver looking, the defender not. A reception and an awful big play. Look at there. That's a great throw and catch. And Seattle's in this ball game.
Third catch of the day by Johns. First down at the Miami 13. David Hughes is turned back. Hughes picked up 12 on his previous carry at the start of the series. Ernest Roan, inside linebacker, on the stop.
All right, let's put this in perspective. Seattle came in here a monstrous underdog. Their first trip to the playoffs. It is extremely difficult to win on the road in the playoffs. As a wild card team, they're down here making a game of this. They must be commended.
In fact, the thought was their best chance would be to get the early lead and then have Kurt Warner grind it out, and it has turned out in contrast. They're chasing the Dolphins. They're trailing 13-7. Here's Craig stepping up. Craig, broken up beautifully. Glenn Blackwood breaking up the pass intended for the tight end, Charlie Young.
In that situation, I must tell you that Craig made the wrong choice. What he tried to do was come up with a touchdown. Look at Dornick. Or he can run and get it to the end zone. Instead, he tried to throw it to Charlie Young, 87. Blackwood waiting for the tip away. Unfortunately for David Craig, you can't really fault him, but with more experience, I think he would have made a better choice.
There's the situation. Third down and 8. Largent in motion. Looking for Dorning. He's got it. And Dorning near the goal line. So Dorning picking up 10 yards on the play. It'll set a 1st and goal for the Seahawks.
And I'll tell you what, somebody turned the volume down on the orange pole. That's Kozlowski on the coverage. They ran a nice little pick with the motion of the outside receiver, and Kozlowski kind of got tied up. There's a reaction by a Seahawk teammate.
Byron Walker on the celebration.
First down.
1st and goal. 6.5 left. 3rd quarter. Here's Warner. Battling his way. And the Seahawks indicate he's in. Yes, he is. Kurt Warner has brought Seattle into a tie. And the extra point can put the Seahawks in front.
This is a great job by the Seattle offensive line. They just get a little crack in there. And all the ball has to do is cross the plane of the goal line. You see the line judge at the bottom of the screen. Hands in the air. 6 points. He runs right over Judson, 49. And hits just enough of his body in the end zone.
Norm Johnson, 49 for 50 on the season. And Seattle leads by 1. But a flag thrown. Penalty marker down. So let's hold it for just a moment. Seattle on top by 1, 14-13. The penalty called on Miami. So, all right, Seattle has taken a 1-point lead, and the difference in the ball game, early 2nd quarter, the mishandling of the snap. Strock could not get it down properly for Von Schaman. This following the Marino to Dan Johnson touchdown pass play, and it has cost the Dolphins.
I don't think anybody in this stadium, except for those people who came down here with the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think anybody expected this ball game to be 14-13. Seattle with 6:26 to go in the third quarter. They have played an outstanding football game. They have not been intimidated one single bit by Miami.
And we talked about that pressure right at the start.
Yes.
No sign at all. Kurt Warner has had a workmanlike day. 17 carries, 71 yards. And despite the exploits of Dan Marino, Seattle by 1. This is Fulton Walker. Slipped as he crossed the 15-yard line.
This Seahawk football team has 26 players with 3 years or less experience. And this Miami Dolphin football team is the reigning AFC champion.
Record of 12-4 in their last game 2 weeks ago on a Friday night here at the Orange Bowl. Dolphins beat the Jets 34-14. Miami has won its last 5, 9 of its last 10, 7 up, 1 down here at the Orange Bowl. And they're trailing the Seahawks. The winner here faces the winner of tomorrow's AFC divisional playoff game, to be seen on NBC, pitting Pittsburgh and the LA Raiders. Overstreet going outside, can't make the turn. And the pop throw by Dave Brown. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Miami Dolphins and the National Football League is prohibited.
Marv, good choice by Miami. David Overstreet caused the turnover with the fumble. Don Shula comes right back with him on the first play. The next time Miami has the football, gives it to him. They're going to need him for the rest of the day. And now Nathan in the backfield.
It's a 2nd and 9. Dolphins at their 19. 6 minutes left. Third quarter. Marino with time. And he took a hit.
He got his arm hit.
Jeff Bryant, the right defensive end, all over Dan Marino. Looked like he had the wind knocked out.
Yeah, if you're a coach, it scares you when you see somebody get hit like this right in the stomach because of a broken rib, and all of a sudden you can't throw the football. He appears to be all right. No problems whatsoever, but it certainly did take the steam off the football, didn't it?
Jeff Bryant getting to the quarterback, Dan Marino. It's a 3rd down and 9. Dolphins have 3 tight ends operating. Johnson, Harty, and Rose. High snap. Oh, look out. And let's see what the ruling is.
That slipped out of his hand. It looks like somebody got his hand, their hand, right up in Marino's face from the shotgun. Bryant, Tuiasosopo, 74. Oh, that ball just slipped out of his hand.
So it is ruled incomplete pass. He came up empty. And Dan Marino had a rugged series.
He also had a receiver open. Had he been able to throw that one, Duper was open.
And back at his 5, Reggie Roby set a Miami record this season, averaging 43 per punt. That's Paul Johns back deep at his 35-yard line. Johns, number 3 man in punt returns in the AFC, and he's calling fair catch. Inside the 45, a 37-yard punt by Roby. Seattle back to the offense. 5 minutes, 49 seconds remaining. 45-yard line. They went 55 yards in 8 plays last time to take that 1-point lead. And here's Kurt Warner. So Warner stopped at the line of scrimmage. Glenn Blackwood able to follow him from right to left.
Pretty obvious that Seattle now wants to go to the ground shut, and that is give it to Kurt Warner any way they possibly can. Interesting note, when Kurt Warner in '83 has rushed for 100 yards, the Seattle Seahawks are 6-0. They're running 2 tight ends in the ball game. Now they take Charlie Young out, back to the normal set.
And Pete Metzelar is in at tight end. 2nd down and 10. Goes to Warner. Warner breaking tackles along the way.
Now there's one thing to see a running back break a tackle against somebody. anybody. I don't care what his name is. But he just broke the tackle of Bob Brzezinski. And Brzezinski is one of the best tacklers you'll find in the National Football League. Number 59, he is a very short tackler, and Warner ran right behind him. Watch out to your left. It's a good job by Craig to adjust. Now from the right-hand side of the screen, watch this little hesitation. Boop, there goes Brzezinski, and there goes Warner.
Bob Brzezinski, Miami's most solid defensive player, leads the team in tackles, although he did not make the Pro Bowl. Third catch of the day by Warner. Here's Hughes, and he pulls his way for the first down. David Hughes has been used in spots today, but used effectively by Chuck Knox.
Now, this is a situation that Seattle had hoped for all week long, to be in a situation where they're up and they can go to their running game, give it to Hughes, give it to Warner. This is what Miami wanted to avoid, to go into the fourth quarter in a close game with Seattle, a very gifted running team.
And we have 4:20 left, third quarter. Seahawks by 1. First down at the Miami 44. Largent, number 80, in motion. Sideline. Oh, nearly picked off. Paul Johns, the intended receiver, and Craig was nearly intercepted by this man. William Judson in his second year out of South Carolina State.
Now you would look how close this is. Now you would expect same formation from Seattle. Second down, only this time he fakes the out and goes up, or at least you file that if you're a coach on the sideline, try to come back to it. If he's going to be quick on that out, we'll try to burn him by going deep. Largent to this side, Johns to the other side on this play.
Second and 10. Hughes and Warner are the running backs. Warner to the outside and back inside the 40. Again, the shake and bake of Kurt Warner picked up 6 on the play.
And no coach on the face of the earth will take credit for that. Joe Paterno is here in the Orange Bowl today, and that's nature. He's gifted.
Bob Trumpy from the Orange Bowl. 3.5 left, third quarter. The Seahawks lead the Dolphins 14-13, and a big play here. Third down and 5 at the 39. Intended for Warner. Mike Kozlowski got a piece of it.
Craig, to begin with, does a good job to get away from the blitz, but watch Largent. They got people all over him. 44, the Miami Dolphins. Paul Langford, 42. Lyle Blackwood. They're going to make sure that Steve Largent does not catch a pass today. Somebody else may beat him on that Seahawk team, but Arnsparger's decided it will not be Largent.
And here's Jeff West in his 8th year out of Cincinnati. Mark Clayton is back. Clayton at his 10-yard line. West punting for the 3rd time today. Nice hang time again.
Oh!
Out at the 3-yard line. So Jeff West with a beauty as it took a tricky hop. And with 3 minutes and 7 seconds left in this third quarter, 36-yard punt, but of significance, the Dolphins. And there is Chuck Studley, Bob, the first 2-8 coach in the history of the National Football League to make it to the playoffs.
Yes, most recently the head coach of the Houston Oilers will take over from Bill Arnsparger at the end of this season. Arnsparger becoming the head football coach at LSU. Best of luck. Fine gentleman. Understand you knew him at his time with the New York Giants.
Not happy years for Bill Arnsparger.
He's been happy down here, though, with Shula.
Are the Dolphins from their 3, trailing the Seahawks by 1, 14-13. They go to the ground. Out to the 7-yard line is Woody Bennett, Jeff Bryant on the cover-up. Just under 3 minutes remaining in this third quarter.
Well, this Miami Dolphin football team in years past has been characterized as a team of character. Down 14-13, 2:46 to go in the third quarter. now 2nd and 94. We're going to see how much character they have.
Overstreet and Bennett are the running backs. This is Bennett again. Pretty move by Bennett out to the 15-yard line. Dave Brown on the stop and 8-yard advance.
Watch Overstreet. This is a crushing block on Ken Easley. 45 knocks him out of there. Great job by Loxo, by Stevenson, by Newman, by Kuchenberg.
And a first down for Miami at the 15-yard line. Cooper is out to the left. Now Nathan is in along with Bennett. Nathan was shaken up earlier. Here's Cooper. Cooper had very little room to operate along the sideline. Stopped by Greg Gaines.
That's the play they started the football game with. Little throw out in the flat to Duper. Now his 9th catch, 116 yards.
And he picked up 6. It'll be a 2nd down and 4. Key injury suffered by the Dolphins' A.J. Dewey earlier this 3rd quarter. Strained knee, and he is out the rest of the way. Tony Nathan was able to return. Andre Franklin also shaken up earlier, but he's all right. A minute 40 left, 3rd quarter. Oh, mistake right there as Nathan collided with his own man, Keith Butler, and Greg Gaines on the combination.
Gaines, an outstanding play. Now he's replacing number 56. Gaines is replacing Michael Jackson, who has been their defensive leader, but he was across the line of scrimmage from that outside linebacker spot. Oh, here we go with 3 linebackers out. Who we got coming in here now? We got the whole defensive backfield in there again. 3, 6, 7 defensive backs now for the Seahawks.
And it's a 3rd and 4. Dan Marino, the rookie out of Pittsburgh, checking it out. Down to a minute left, 3rd quarter. A lot of movement. Penalty flags. And this has been a penalty-free ball game. Here's Fred White.
Ball start, number 67.
All right, that's the veteran, Bob Kuchenberg.
Well, we expected some confusion at the line of scrimmage by the Seahawk offense.
Ball start, number 67. 3rd down.
So Miami, the club with the fewest penalties in the NFL for an 8th consecutive season, hit with their 5th call. Seahawks have been penalized only once.
To complete my thought, Miami has been the one that's been a little excited at the line of scrimmage. Maybe in part the 2-week layoff.
They have not played since beating the Jets on a Friday night here at the Orange Bowl 2 weeks back. 3rd down and 9. For the first down.
For this entire game, they've been throwing the ball to Mark Duper, and in this particular instance, he's the decoy, Moore the primary receiver. And of course, the thing that's essential is that they have some pass protection up front. They do an outstanding job on Jacob Green, Kuchenberg on Tuiasosopo, and Moore converts a big 3rd down.
13-yard play, first catch for Nat Moore. Down to 10 seconds left, 3rd quarter, first down at the 28. Marino going sideline, and it's intercepted. Pass intended for Clayton, carried Justin, the left cornerback, on the intercept. 3rd turnover of the day, committed by Miami. 2nd time Marino has been intercepted as this 3rd quarter comes to a close.
The Seahawks have put outstanding pressure on Marino. Let's watch Nash on Stevenson. A little game up front. You see 77 go inside. In this 2nd half, they've been right in Marino's face. That's Bryant, 77 on the inside. And it just takes the steam out of the football. The interception. Seahawks got it back.
Seattle Seahawks have not committed a turnover at all this afternoon, and that has been the key as Miami intercepted a moment ago. So Seattle without a turnover the last 11 quarters. The Seahawks have their best field position of the day as they start out inside the 50. Off the swing, this is Warner. So Kurt Warner out of the backfield, his 4th catch of the day.
This is an interesting offensive set for the Seahawks. What they're trying to do, there's the man with the interception. Congratulations. 3 by the Dolphins today. But what Seattle has done all day long is look downfield, and their outlet is the receiver in the flat, Kurt Warner, with a guard in front of him to fake the screen. And he's caught 4 or 5 passes out there in the flat with some protection and escort. Worked very well for them.
2nd down and 2. Just underway, 4th quarter. Warner with acceleration to pick up the 1st down. Ernie Roan on the tackle.
Now watch how Dave Craig runs back to hand the ball to Kurt Warner. He'll try to get back there as quickly as he possibly can. Now watch, he turns, gets it to him about 5 yards deep, and Kurt Warner's almost at full speed. And look at the hole in that defensive line. Whoa.
And he reeled off 9 yards on the play. 20 carries, 87 yards for Warner. And again, it's Warner. And he broke a tackle to pick up a couple. Bob Baumhauer, the nose tackle, able to pursue Warner, and they have been chasing Warner all day long. That's Baumhauer, 7th season out of Alabama. He feels he made the Pro Bowl on reputation. Doesn't feel it's been one of his better years, at least for Bob Baumhauer. Started slowly, but has come on. There's the point you made earlier.
They're running the ball against a 3-man defensive front right at the best part of the Miami defense at Betters and Brzezinski.
2nd down and 8. Seattle leading by 1, 14-13. Oh. Johns not able to hang on. Paul Johns has been an important receiver today, what with Steve Largent blanked to this point.
You can't say enough about Seattle in this situation. You want to keep your team in character as long as you possibly can. And 13:23 to go in this football game. Chuck Knox's football team is playing like they belong. And I think prior to this game, there were a lot of people who wondered if they, in fact, did belong in the same field with Miami. I think that rumor has been dispelled.
Crowd urging the Dolphin defense. And Craig completes to Johns for the 1st down. Paul Langford on the tackle, a 14-yard pass play.
He has been a big receiver. Largent shut down for the entire day. Craig has confidence in other receivers. He looks away to the outside, from the outside to the inside, and Johns is basically uncovered. Kozlowski 40, Langford, that's his 4th catch for 59 yards now.
And a 1st down at the Miami 16-yard line. Warner. The Dolphins containing Warner. Bob Brzezinski, outside linebacker on the left, stopping Kurt Warner. 12:20 remaining in the 4th quarter. The Seahawks by 1, 14-13. It was Marino to Dan Johnson. Marino to Mark Duper. A Seahawk touchdown set up by the 59-yard kickoff return by Dixon. Craig going to Bryant, and Warner ran one in from a yard away. That's Walker in motion. And Craig with room, flag down. Penalty marker down as Craig had that middle wide open. Referee Fred Wyatt sorting it out. It's against Seattle.
First major penalty of the day against the Seahawks. If they get the ball in the end zone here, going into the closed end of the Orange Bowl, where it's very difficult to call audibles, deserve a great deal of credit.
Holding number 61.
That's the right guard, Robert Pratt, a 10-year man out of North Carolina. There he is, longtime starter for the Baltimore Colts. His second year with Seattle. 7 defensive backs for the Dolphins. Second and long. Second and about 20. And Craig throwing sideline, and it's broken. Number 49, William Judson, stepping in front of Paul Johns.
Craig not even looking in Largent's direction anymore, realizing that the defense is taking him away for the day. Let's go to Paul Johns, who's responded so far. 4 catches, 59 yards. There's Largent again. Small should get a great deal of credit, along with the other defensive backs who have really been all over Largent. In that case, it was Robert Sowell. Man-to-man coverage on Largent.
Seahawks and Dolphins have met only twice before, and the Dolphins won both. 3rd down and 20. Dump off for Dorning. 1st down and more. Now check that, inside of the 10-yard line. Picked up 17, so he's short of the 1st down. Dan Dorning out of the backfield.
You're playing defensive back for the Miami Dolphins. Try to make the tackle. All he's trying to do is get down there for a field goal. In that case, they had 6 defensive backs, 1 linebacker, and 4 guys rushing, and all they tried to do was just get a little bit of it back.
And here's Noam Johnson from 27 yards away. Zorn will hold. And it's good. So Noam Johnson, who had his earlier attempt from 49 yards away, blocked. Able to add 3 more to the board. 10:42 left. See from the Orange Bowl in Miami with Bob Crumpy. This is Marv Albert. The Cinderella team of the AFC, the Seattle Seahawks, leading the Miami Dolphins by the score of 17-13. 10 minutes and 42 seconds left in this 4th quarter. Fulton Walker awaiting the Noam Johnson kickoff. Walker at a 6. 20. Up to the 25-yard line. The return by Fulton Walker.
The Miami Dolphins have started with this drive at their own 24, their own 34, their own 18, and their own 3 in the second half. Seattle has started at their own 45, their own 45, and Miami's 49. The field position clearly in favor of the Seattle Seahawks in the second half.
Woody Bennett on the carry, stopped by Jeff Bryant. Bennett and Nathan now in that Miami backfield.
Well, in this drive now for Miami, most important thing is protect Marino. He's been pressured in this second half, and he needs to be protected so he can throw the ball. Go back to the basics. Try to get back to Duper. See if the coverage is off of him as it was in the first half.
2nd and 5. Duper right. Moore left side on the top of your screen. Marino looking for Duper. And broken up. Combination of Kerry Justin, the cornerback, and linebacker Bruce Schultz coming back on the combination.
Now we'll see the way they defense this. Bruce Schultz just out of your picture, bottom of the screen, in front of Duper, and Justin behind him makes it more difficult to complete that pass. So see, Seahawks have made an adjustment.
Kerry Justin, who is headed to the New Jersey Generals of the United States Football League in his 6th season out of Oregon State.
Seahawks, 7 defensive backs.
3rd and 5. Paul Marino. The tight end Joe Rose has joined Dan Johnson. And Marino throwing the middle, broken up. John Harris got a hand on it. Harris and Dufek on the double coverage, but it was Harris slapping it away.
Seattle is allowing the Miami receivers to run those 10-yard hooks, which are good enough for a first down, then slapping the ball away. They have played that 7 defensive back set today extremely well.
And Seattle's secondary has given up an average of 239 yards per game. That's the most in the AFC. They have done it defensively, and this is a club that is last in total defense in the AFC. So Paul Johns awaiting the punt. Reggie Roby, low snap. Johns waving it off. And it bounces out across the 35. A 37-yard punt by Roby. The winner here will face the winner of Pittsburgh and the LA Raiders. That game to be seen here on NBC tomorrow. Seattle Seahawks, who have beaten the Raiders twice this season, including a 38-36 wild one at the Kingdome. And they lead the Dolphins 17-13, 9.5 remaining, fourth quarter. Kurt Warner. Bob Baumhauer on the tackle. All right, Miami jumping in front 6-0 on the 19-yard pass from Marino. Cullen Bryant giving Seattle the lead as Miami missed that first extra point.
3 yards, 2nd and 7.
Still second quarter. On the sensational catch by Duper, Miami took a 13-7 lead. In the third, it was Seattle on the 1-yard run by Warner, taking a 14-13 lead, and the 27-yard field goal by Johnson. And yes, it's raining again here in Miami. Lights have been on right throughout. Just under 9 minutes left. Fourth quarter. Warner slashing his way. It appeared the Dolphins had him, but was able to make the move for the first down. Lyle Blackwood on the tackle. So Kurt Warner now has run for 99 yards. That his total against Denver last week in the wild card game.
Watch the student body left. Guard pulls, guard pulls. And Warner has that ability to just read the block and turn it upfield. 1, 2, 3 steps. Watch him turn up. Bam, that step, he's going full blast. Great job by that offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks. No intimidation factor seen today. Seahawks towards the defending AFC champions.
The stats on Warner. Now Warner on the reception. The Seahawks are being carried on the back of Kurt Warner. Run out by William Judson. That's 5 catches, 40 yards, along with the 99 yards running.
2nd and 6.
By the rookie out of Penn State. 1,449 yards on the ground during the regular season to lead the AFC. First round draft pick, 3rd player taken in the draft overall, headed to the Pro Bowl. Huffing and puffing, but he's hanging right in.
You know, the last rookie to lead the AFC in rushing? Earl Campbell, pretty good company.
2nd and 6. Just under 8 left, fourth quarter. Guess who? To the 45-yard line, so he's over 100 on the day. Doug Betters on the cover.
Seattle is doing an outstanding job on Baumhauer, the noseman. That's Bush and Bailey with a trap around 61 on the linebacker and Warner up through there. Now 25 carries, 103 yards. Warner now becomes the 6th running back against the Miami Dolphins to go over 100 yards in this 83 season.
It's a 3rd down at about 2. The Dolphins defensively operating without H.A. Dewey. He's out for the day with a knee injury. Blitz. Covered for launching. Gerald Small got a hand on him. That's Small, number 48.
An outstanding job. Largent just jumps inside of him, reads the blitz. He's the hot receiver. One man cannot be picked up. Watch Small. Whoa, great job. Outstanding job by Small. And Largent still without a reception.
Steve Largent, during the regular season, 72 catches, the number 2 man behind Todd Christensen of the Raiders. In touchdowns with 11 on the season. Christensen had 12. Mark Clayton at the 16-yard line. A 30-yard punt, and Miami now will take over. 6 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Dolphins, a huge favorite, are trailing the Seattle Seahawks by the score of 17-13. The Miami Dolphins, who have had great success here at home in the Orange Bowl, 7-1 this season, trailing the Seahawks. The crowd at the Orange Bowl looking to get behind the Dolphins. Usually the decibel level here is extraordinarily high, similar to the Kingdome in Seattle. And the Dolphins, with an important drive, get it going as Dan Johnson, the tight end, has picked up the first down. Shelton Robinson, Keith Butler, inside linebackers on the tackle, a 10-yard pass play. And Miami now first down across the 25-yard line with 6.5 left, fourth quarter.
Marv, once again the point. Second half drives where they started by the Miami Dolphins, their own 34, their own 18, their own 3, and this drive started at their own 15.
And Marino goes to the ground. Tony Nathan off the spin. It has been a low-key day for Nathan. Only 19 yards, 7 carries. Bruce Schultz on the stop.
Once again now, the Seattle Seahawks come with those 7 defensive backs, and Miami has not figured out a way to beat it yet. And therefore, Seattle is going to keep coming with it.
And Miami has a second down and 8 at the 28-yard line. Matt Moore to the left. Mark Duper at the near side. David Overstreet to the 30. Dave Brown, the right cornerback, up for the tackle.
Tackled by number 26, Kerry Justin.
Crowd of 71,032 here at the Orange Bowl. Capacity is a shade over 75. It has been raining throughout the afternoon. It has not bothered Kurt Warner. There was the concern about the field condition. It has not been a factor. Third down and 5. Cooper could not hang on. Dave Brown may have deflected it.
How many times have we seen the ball just slapped away by Seattle defenders? About half a dozen times today, and I don't think Marino was off target. Dave Brown had Mark Duper covered extremely well. Watch that hand, just tips it enough that Duper can't get the ball in his hands. And once again, Miami will give it back to Seattle.
And this is Reggie Roby. And like Jeff West, he gets excellent hang time. Paul Johns back inside his 25-yard line. So 4 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. It's a 41-yard punt helped by the roll for Reggie Roby. 4:44 remaining fourth quarter. Seahawks looking to pull off a huge upset. They lead the Dolphins by the score of 17. Oh, it is picked off. Gerald Small.
I believe an attempt to get the ball to Steve Largent just to continue a record cost them that. There was no way he was open. Their first turnover in 12 quarters. Their first turnover today. And Largent wasn't within 6 yards of that football. I don't think Dave Craig ever even looked that direction. He knew when he was in the huddle he was going to Steve Largent.
You think so? Do you think Knox would look to hit Largent to extend a record at this point?
No, I don't think it's the coach's choice. I don't think it's the coach's choice.
All right, Keith Butler on the stop of Tony Nathan. But Craig throwing on first down, picked off by Gerald Small, who had 5 interceptions during the regular season. Small out of San Jose State, coming up with what could be the play with 4 minutes remaining. Fourth quarter, Miami now. Second down. 2nd and 10 at the 16. Off the roll, Marino. And more. Inside the 5.
Watch this. Largent is not even close. He either did not read the blitz and stop and turn around, or Craig didn't even look out there. That's the first mistake he has made today. Miscommunication on one of them's part. Not sure which one.
It is a 1st and goal off the 14-yard pass play to Moore. 1st and goal at the 2.
In this, he has played an outstanding football game. Quarterback is the only position of choice on the football field. He clearly made the wrong choice there, and it did appear that the choice was made in the huddle, not at the line of scrimmage.
Very important extra point attempt with a 2-point lead for Miami. Seconds remaining, fourth quarter. And off the 2-yard run by Bennett with great blocking from Roy Foster and Bruce Hardy, as you will see. And the extra point, it's Miami now by 3.
You see 67 Kuchenberg just get enough of that linebacker to allow Bennett to get into the end zone. Watch Kuchenberg on your left. Linebacker comes. There's Kuchenberg down almost on all fours, enough to get the linebacker off the line of scrimmage and Bennett in there for the touchdown. What a shame. They play almost an entire football game, mistake-free football, and to have the guy that had played so brilliantly this entire season to make that one bad choice.
And Woody Bennett, in his 5th season out of the University of Miami, has been a short yardage specialist, able to run it in. Still much time left. 3 minutes and 43 seconds remaining fourth quarter. But now let's see how the Seahawks react in a pressure situation coming from behind, now trailing by 3.
Marv, the situation is for the Seahawks, it takes the breath out of you when you're on the sideline. You've got to recover. The coach has got to get the players together and say, look, we need a big kickoff return here to get back in this ball game. If we can get it to Zach Dixon, you guys do your job. We'll get good field position.
Again, Judson holding it for Von Summer. David Hughes, 20-yard line, 25, 30. Good return by Hughes. Terry Totolo on the tackle, a 26-yard return. First down at the 34. David Hughes.
Marv, in this situation now, Seattle's got to keep its poise. I realize it's very difficult in a playoff situation for a young team, but they don't have to play for a win. They play for a tie. They will be against the wind if they get down there with 3:12 left, but they don't have to go another 63 yards. All they got to do is get to about the 25.
It is a second down and 6. And here's Warner running hard inside the 40. A reminder, following the Dolphins and the Seahawks on NFL Report, we'll be in the winner's locker room. We'll also take a close-up look at the Steelers and the LA Raiders and several other features upcoming. And what a rivalry over the years between the LA Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the mid-70s. Third down and 2. 2:25 left, fourth quarter. Largent coming back to make a beautiful catch and a first down. So the first reception of the day for Steve Largent.
48 small on the outside. Blackwood on the inside, the simple square in pattern. Look, he gets on the inside shoulder of Small. Blackwood just a little late to get there, and that is a big catch. Ooh.
16-yard pass play. So Steve Largent with his first catch of the day. The 2-minute warning has been provided. Seahawks trailing the Dolphins 20-17. Right now, here comes another one of those fantastic finishes. Crowd again urging the Dolphin defense on. Here's Dave Craig stepping up and throwing for Largent. He's got it. Steve Largent, his second consecutive catch. This one for 40 yards, and here are the Seahawks on the doorstep.
Now that's unbelievable. For 57 minutes, the Dolphins have been able to shut Largent down. Look at that pattern. Oh, that's a great pattern. When Judson looked back at the quarterback, that's when Largent breaks. And that's great familiarity between the quarterback and receiver. Craig on the other side does pay a certain price. He has tremendous confidence in the receiver. That's Charles on his back, number 71. 3 points, 3 yards to win this football game.
First and goal. Kurt Warner. Touchdown, and Seattle has the lead.
No flags.
The Seahawks come roaring right back. And now, with 1:48 remaining, Seattle leading it by the score of 23-20. Here's Johnson. Zorn put it down, and it's good. And again, you look back to that missed extra point by the Dolphins, with the Seahawks moving in front by 4, 24-20, and 1:48 remaining in the fourth quarter.
This touchdown set up by 2 catches, 2 great catches by Steve Largent. And the combination of Craig and Largent have atoned for that tremendous mistake, the turnover that resulted in the Miami Dolphin touchdown. I'm sure Largent feels a lot better now, and so does Dave Craig.
Dave Craig signed as a free agent back in 1980, played the final 3 games back in 81 when Zorn broke his ankle, played sparingly last year, and has come on this season.
Warner once again, great speed to the outside. 5 plays, 66 yards, took just 1 minute and 55 seconds. That's Jim Zorn in the jacket there, Marv. Congratulating Dave Craig. You would hate for the season to end with that interception on your mind for 6 months. It has been erased. Congratulations.
Steve Largent, who was blank up until these final moments, coming up with the 2 catches to set up the go-ahead touchdown, but still 1:48 left. as the Seahawks get set to kick off. Norm Johnson. This is Fulton Walker to the 10, 15, 20, 25, and he fumbles. It is recovered by Seattle.
Seattle recovers the fumble.
Number 51, Sam Merriman, a rookie out of Idaho, a 7th-round draft pick, one of 4 draft picks to make the club, able to color the fumble.
Miami's 4th turnover of the ball game. Seattle has had but 1. There you see the hit from the back, the number 63 of the Seattle Seahawks. That's Mark Hicks. And the recovery by Merriman, and the celebration begins.
Sam Merriman, team captain at Idaho, coming up with the fumble. Fulton Walker, who led the National Football League in kickoff returns, averaging 27 yards per return. On the fumble, 1:39 remaining in this 4th quarter. Kurt Warner, as Chuck Knox will look to run that clock down.
Miami has 3 timeouts left. They've just taken 1. It appears they may get the football back. That is a distinct possibility. But they've got to score a touchdown to win.
1:31 remaining in this 4th quarter. And the timeout has been called. Well, the Seahawks making it to the playoffs for the first time in their 8-year history. And there is a hello to Seattle from the Orange Bowl in Miami. Seahawks went 9-7 in the regular season. Was that Ahmad Rashad looking for some cameo?
One thing for sure, Seattle has got the respect of the entire National Football League after, if it remains this way, winning their 4th straight football game.
It is a 2nd and 10. And the gift to Cullen Bryant.
Bryant carries.
Last week, Seattle beat Denver 31-7 in the wild card playoff game. So it's 3 in a row, 4 of the last 5 for the Seahawks, and looking to hang on right here with 1:25 remaining and a timeout called by Miami. They're down to 1 timeout left.
A question for you. Would you rank this as one of the all-time upsets in the last 10 or 15 years in the NFL and playoffs?
I would think it is right in the ballpark.
I can't think of another one that's any bigger than this one.
And it's been a terrific back and forth ball game. Miami getting to the early lead. Marino to Dan Johnson, that extra point miss with Van Schamen, and Strock not able to hook up has really cost.
Let's see, what are the situations now? No matter what happens, who wins tomorrow, Seattle must travel, correct? It's either to Pittsburgh or to Los Angeles.
1:25 remaining, 4th quarter, 3rd down and 6. And here's Warner. And Russell out of bounds. Kyle Blackwood on the tackle. You see the clock at 1:19.
Actually, he just made a gigantic mistake there. The Dolphins have 1 timeout left, and Warner ran out of bounds, stopping the clock. It's now 4th down. You got several big choices to make here. What are you going to do? You're going to try the field goal? Should never have gone out of bounds. Never. Let that clock run. It's going to cost Seattle at least 40 seconds, and there's 1:19 left.
And here is Norm Johnson coming on.
This scares me.
Looking to extend to a 7-point lead. He's 1 for 2 on the day. This a 38-yard attempt. Zorn awaits the snap. Wow. It's good. A clutch field goal by Norm Johnson, the 2nd-year man out of UCLA, who is now 20 for 27 on the season. Earlier, hit from 27. He had one blocked from 49. Watch the expression of Don Shula as he followed the trajectory of the boot by Johnson. All right, Walker comes up to the 10. 20. Ran into his own man. Fumble. And it's recovered by the Seahawks again. Turnover number 5 for the Dolphins, and Walker with 2 in a row. Dan Dornick on the recovery and will not want to give up that football.
And the celebration begins. That plane back to Seattle, the people inside will supply most of the power. It will lift off by itself.
Dan Dornick in his 6th year out of Washington State, spends the offseason in medical school at the University of Washington. His dad and brother are physicians, and that time picking off the fumble of Fulton Walker.
Kickoff coverage team, punt coverage team by the Seahawks, the best in the league, against the #1 kickoff returner in the league. Today, Seattle's won that battle too.
It's going to be a tough offseason for Fulton Walker. Minute 8. Remaining 4th quarter. Miami has 1 timeout left as the Seahawks look to run it out. Remember, Fulton Walker had that 98-yard touchdown in last year's Super Bowl on a kickoff. First kickoff ever returned for a TD in a Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks took 2 out of 2 from the Los Angeles Raiders. I did that 38-36 game with John Brody at the Kingdome in Seattle. That was next to the Washington Redskin Los Angeles Raider game, one of the pulsating games of the season.
Matter of fact, Marv, I think the Seahawks have beaten the Raiders 5 of the last 6 times they've met, going back a couple of years.
So a minute 3 remaining.
Well,
Seahawks, a very happy group as they look to complete this enormous upset and advance to the AFC Championship game that will be telecast by NBC. Miami using its final timeout.
Isn't this something what Chuck Knox has done? Come in, put in a new offense, a new defense. He acquires a 33-year-old running back who last year carried the ball just twice, and Cullen Bryant. Trades for a center supposedly too small in Blair Bush. Brings in a tight end named Charlie Young, all for leadership, along with Reggie McKenzie. Tells these players they're good, believe in yourself, and we'll be fine. And it comes true.
Third down play upcoming. Chuck Knox, who has not fared well over the years in matchups against Don Shula, and Knox, the first coach in NFL history to lead 3 different teams to the playoffs. Also did it with the Bills and the Rams. Going into today, Knox had won only 2 of 10 matched against Shula.
This
the clock running down.
Excuse me, Mark. This is the biggest one he's ever won.
And Kurt Warner, who rushed for 113 yards on 29 carries, now makes it 7-0 when he has gone over the 100-yard mark. And there's Knox being carried off the field as time has run out on the Miami Dolphins. The Seahawks have come up with the victory. In an upset, they have defeated the Dolphins by the score of 27-20. Seattle Seahawks, who have made it to the playoffs for the first time in their 8-year history, now advance to the AFC Championship game, which is 1 step away from the Super Bowl.
Well, an absolutely super game and a great win there to Seattle, and probably the upset of the series so far, Dan.
Well, for me especially, it cost me a bottle of champagne. It was a very, very good and hard-fought contest. I think Seattle just has that momentum going from that win over Denver last week. It's going to be close.
Well, you know, when you look at Miami, they were there in the Super Bowl championships last year. So maybe this young side now, they've got a chance.
That's true, and they didn't have the layoff last week. Denver learned the same lesson from that Miami did in that game with Seattle.
Well, I thought it was probably the most exciting game we've seen so far.
Right, and again, turnovers. I think the key, you're going to hear it probably for the rest of the year, you make a mistake, your opponent takes the ball over you, and they go in for the score. I'd watch that closely.
Well, there's certainly going to be some bleary eyes around because tonight's game is a super game. That's the San Francisco 49ers. I think everybody's favourite team. They take on Detroit and they're charging through this competition. Then on Tuesday night, the Washington Redskins, and they are the defending champions. They'll take on the LA Rams, another side that really has everybody in America talking. Pittsburgh Steelers, always tough, always hard. They take on the LA Raiders, and that's on Wednesday night. So a stack of football coming up for you, a whole bunch of late nights, but who really cares? We're enjoying it so much. Well, I'm Darryl Eastlake on behalf of Dan Milovich. Hope you've enjoyed the action, and we'll be back, of course, tonight with some bigger and brighter action. So right now, it's good night from everybody at Nine's Wide World of Sports.